right, welcome to the latest episode of the Dragon's Tome. I am your host this week, Chopper, joined with our two lovely friends, Rob and Jack.
Hi, everyone.
Yellow.
Green.
Green, indeed.
So here we are, February of 1983. We are episode 70, or sorry, issues number 70.
Both.
And
Coincidentally, it's both.
yeah, well, funny how that works, right? And we are looking at this cover.
It is by Dean Morrissey.
Is this a Viking thing? I don't know what to, I mean, I like it.
I wrote it's called Weird Coastline because there's a weird guy in the clouds and a girl hugging a
Well,
statue and
I think, and there's a Viking ship behind her, so I don't know
it's
what's
sinking.
going
The
on.
Viking ship looks like it crashed, so
Oh,
maybe
so
it's protecting the coast.
is she a siren and the old
Mm.
man is the moon?
Or is she the sole survivor from the Viking ship?
I think the moon is still visible between
yeah.
him and the. Yeah,
So you
I
don't
don't
think the
know.
old man's the moon and that's the sun?
That would make no sense.
Wow, this whole picture doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
It's true.
No,
Even,
either she's the survivor of the ship now stranded on this desolate island, or she lured them there with her sultry
I think
tones.
she lured them there because there's not a look of any kind of distress in her face.
There's not a look of anything. She's very stoic. Same. I think this might be the case that, like Jack said, I think it was Jack said last week, where they just had like a Rolodex of paintings. This is one of those. He's like, we need a cover. I got this one. Okay, good enough. There's a lot of negative space, which doesn't really work for a cover. Like if it all this negative space, they should have written stuff to fill it
That's
up a
true.
bit.
It's a beautiful picture, and
Oh yeah,
yes, it makes in my mind a good cover to lure someone in. But this issue doesn't have
anything to do with
ship
this?
combat.
Yeah.
It doesn't have like even
Uh,
like a Halloween or something like that. It's not.
yeah. This isn't the one that has stuff about ships. Yeah, you're right. Oh no, there is. There is something about ships in it. There's hull speeds or something like that. I didn't read it, but how smaller ships are slower than bigger ships or something. I was like, once
Yeah,
again, I don't need to know the specifics on ships. Thanks.
Yeah, there was a reason why I didn't
But it should be
do too much
shipwrecks
so.
or some kind of coastal thing, or even like horror of some sort, because this is a very horror vibe.
that's what I thought. Like a Halloween cover or something like
Hmm.
that, or a monster issue where you something like that.
It's not
Yeah,
all snowy for February. It's more desolate, and I just don't know what's happening. That's what confuses me. Why is there a giant face in the clouds? It's like he was doing like a cover of a wizard, and then he's like, no, I want to do a.
Maybe he's the god of the sea, just looking down.
Yeah, but he's not even looking
well,
down.
like a
He's just staring. But I think he was going to do a
Poseidon.
wizard, and then he's just like, no, I'm going to do a ship thing. And then he left a wizard there. He didn't paint over it. So it's just like, it's he just left it there. It's odd.
Or maybe they are forlorn lovers, and this is a February, like a
Uh,
Valentine's Day tribute. The two of them are separated
she's waiting for
by the
her
sea,
man to come in from the sea, but he drowned, and she
but he
just
drowned.
waits. I
Hmm,
poetic, Jack. Very poetic.
it's poetic. All right. Well, let's move to the next thing then. Let's start with Jack. Jack, what is you got for
Jack,
our
Jack.
first articles?
Jack Jack. Then let's go to page 33.
Jack, Jack on 33.
A second volley, taking another shot at firearms in AD&D. So I don't know that there was ever a first volley.
There was an article we did. I think Rob covered it.
An
Yeah, there was.
official.
Yeah, there were.
Yeah,
Well, it was.
it was.
There was an article, and then I think Gygax like refuted it or something. At later one.
Yeah, it was issue 60.
Okay, well, at no point was there an official
No, no, it's not. It was all.
thing,
That was the whole
but
point. Gygax said it would. I think it was Gygax said it would just ruin D&D because it would be too powerful.
but in the vein of articles that are kind of a history lesson, that a primer into firearms themselves and it gets pretty in depth. I thoroughly enjoyed this article, and even if I didn't add, firearms into my D&D game, if I would have bought this magazine, I would have gotten my money's worth out of learning about match locks
trigger
and
systems.
flintlocks
Well,
and
it is written by
arquebuses.
it is written by Ed Greenwood, and we know he can get pretty in depth in things. So
Jax is sucking up to him because he always insults him usually. So
No, that is not true at all. But I did enjoy this as a educational.
and he does have some rules for them in D&D.
Mhm.
yeah, like he always does.
So yes, you could use this even if you weren't interested in the history of how the mechanics of the different firearms work. You scroll down 2 pages, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, there's the stats. I can have my rogue can have a pistol.
Yep, before artificers. Yeah, there you go. Firearms.
All right.
And there's some nice pictures.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a nice and then a nice little chart like we always like.
Table of guns.
All right, Rob, what do you got for first article?
Not much going on in this one for me, fine folks. Let's go to 73 is my guess.
Ooh.
Yes, Civilization breaks new ground. It's a review of the game Civilization that just came out. This is interesting because we play Civ on computers, Sid Meier's Civilization, and this is the basis, what he based his game off of is this game. And it's the first 4X game ever invented, so that's interesting too, because that's
Yes,
pretty plentiful system nowadays. There's lots of 4X games. But this,
And a 4X game is what? What's the broad strokes?
exploration, exploitation.
extermination.
Is it extermination?
I don't know. I never remember what the 4X's are.
Okay.
I know it's exploration, exploitation,
Experimentation.
I don't remember.
Examination.
And
It's
X-Men.
explore,
X-Men.
expand, exploit, and exterminate. It is exterminate.
There you go.
No.
Yeah. Anyways, it's just interesting that I thought Civilization
Expand's the always one I forget.
expand. I always forget exploit. I guess.
Jack always focuses on expand.
Yeah, Jack is an expander. He like just in the video game he sails out settlers on little ships and hopes they land places. He's like spores.
He puts his settlers in a blunderbuss and just.
He's like a
I don't know
He's
why
like a
I'm getting called
zygum.
out.
He's like a zygum. He just shoots them everywhere. Anyways,
yes, I have a particular play style, and if we're gonna start to break, if we're gonna start pointing fingers at a warmonger and a guy who just sits there and does nothing until he has aircraft and then turns into the Borg.
that's the problem with Civilization. It's too easy. But this game, anyways, is a first, and I was like, is it connected to Civ? So then I looked it up, and
Yeah,
Sid Meier did say that he based on this game, so that's interesting.
And then it becomes his.
Well, yeah, the video game version is definitely his version of this, but it's crazy that he even called it Civilization. But what you gonna do? I think it's an Avalon Hill game. Yeah, it is. So
Yeah.
Avalon Hill game in this magazine, and I think it's a pretty good review of it. So, and
Who reviewed it? Tony Watson.
yeah, Watson he's not a shill like the rest of them. Yeah, it was originally designed by a British design group, and then Avalon Hill picked it up.
I wonder if I can find the original one because it'd be kind of fun to try and play the original Civ before all the other games are based off the video game. I should take all the other board games are based off the video game.
It's it'd be very complicated, I would think, to try to handle 4X games on the tabletop. That's the beauty of video games. You don't have to worry about all the.
Some of them are not that bad.
I'm sure this is pretty basic because it is the first one, so I'm sure it's not too hard. But who knows? Hefty price at $22. The guy says though, $22, hefty.
Most 4X games now are 100.
At least.
Oh yeah, you can't even go to a. You can't even buy like a standard Monopoly for that much money now.
That's true.
role-playing game books are $50 at least, if not more. So, anyways, that's my first article.
So, all right, so then let's go to my article. We're going to go to page 7.
All the way back to 7.
I wrote some notes here, and they make no sense to me.
Ed Greenwood again.
Yeah. So this I wrote down here does a good job of discussion.
Were you on Ambien when you wrote that?
But then it says but hard, and then it just kind of trails off into nonsense.
Did you fall asleep while writing your notes?
I maybe, I don't know. So
is there a pen line that just kind of goes?
Well, no, it's typed, so it goes in the weird.
That's where his head hit the keyboard. It just wrote those words.
While this is an NPC, he does a very good job of breaking down and fleshing out a Smith. But I just feel like, how we all feel about these NPCs. They're just really player characters that can't be called player characters for.
But who the hell would want to play a Smith?
For every Gygax reasons. But then, so maybe that's why I said good job of discussion, but no.
Yeah, why would you want to play a Smith? And if you have a Smith NPC, do you really need all these stats for him? That's the question. You're not.
So.
Right.
But
this is the first NPC that's actually an NPC, not a proto player that we've had in a while.
Yeah.
Is that dog dead though? So I'm questioning.
No, he's not dead.
He's just sleepy.
He's old, and he's like, "Will you guys quit?"
I think someone hit him with a hammer.
He's got that little, oh, come on, guys, quit messing around.
Imagine how long, because they're obviously posing there. It's obviously someone's painting it. There's no photography at the time, so dog is like, we've been here for hours. Come on. Someone sketches it.
Yeah, and just like any other article by Ed, it goes in depth and gives you a fair good background and knowledge that you can use to run this as an NPC, but you don't need all this other stuff.
Yeah, it's good to. I guess it's good to have the idea how to run a Smith if it's important to your game. But
yeah.
But generally, it's good.
I mean,
if you need a Smith, this is where you come to.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you great ideas on how to role play them, in a sense, with the discussion part. But as my notes say, hardness.
And I couldn't have said it better.
No, I think that's exactly what happened.
All right, Jack, how about you? Do you have a second article?
Yes, but I can't really read. It says, I smell burnt toast.
He's having a stroke.
And then, no.
That might have been me.
We're going to go to page 14. And it kind of ties in with what we were just discussing. This is called a cast of realistic characters. And it is a discussion of, hey, I know this is a game of dungeon diving. And at the time it was. I know it had kind of started morphing into more. But this was, hey, if you want to make a game that's kind of a lived-in world, now that's probably a bit that's a bit more lofty than they were still going for here. But if you wanted to get your players into a believable situation where in a town you have to create this kind of a cast of characters, as in like a believable people you would meet in the city, to deal with and make the world feel lived in. So like,
it's a precursor to, like we were saying, the city book for Greyhawk, where it really fleshes out regular people and makes it more role playing. Yeah, like you say, it's you can see the transition from dungeon delving to real role playing. And
yes, a dungeon dive that's just grinding out, getting treasure, and then
anybody you meet is just just a random person.
Moving into city adventuring.
Yeah. Before, the only time you're ever in a city was in the tavern to get the adventure in the first place.
Yeah.
Yes, and now you can build a story this way rather than have it as a game of exploration. Now it's
we're getting more X's. We're getting more X's in the games.
Yeah, and And honestly, it's a one-page article.
Yeah.
Frank Metzer,
He's short and sweet, that guy.
and hits on all the high notes. Tells you why you should, why you should stop, think about this, why you shouldn't do this. Lovely, highly recommend.
All right. Cool. Short but sweet article and very good. Rob, what do you got?
I'm running low. My tank's almost empty, but let's go to 77.
Well, you only need to get one more in there, so let's see what you. Oh,
what's new? What's new? I like it because it's kind of it. Once again, it precursors what people are going to accuse D&D of being, but it's making fun of using D&D like role playing games in your real life, and how you can actually use them, those skills you gain in role playing games, and it's pretty funny. And it goes down the end where the guy gets so bored of murdering people he doesn't want to play hug a mugger. So, but it is the Phil and Dixie, the cartoon, and it's always funny. And like I said, there's many articles, so a funny cartoon is where we get to. And yeah, I like how also since role-playing games desensitizes you to strange situations, when the aliens land, you won't be running away like everybody else. You'll just be like, it's just another day at the...
Have a nice trip.
And yeah, there's some humor that probably wouldn't be okay nowadays. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But good old Phil and Dixie. That's my last article, and I wouldn't even call it an article. It's just a funny comic.
All right. I guess that goes to me. So we're going to go to page 29.
29.
Dwarves in space.
The title was a lie, but the article.
So yeah, the article wasn't that bad. I read it. I mean, the only downside to this is I don't know Traveler that well. So Roger Moore here crossed D&D and Traveler. Wanted to be able to visit the D&D world from the Travel world, kind of thing is basically what this article runs down to.
So it's not actually dwarves in space, as Jack implied.
No, it's he does
it's
make
space
a dwarf
guys
race.
who land on dwarves.
Well, he does make a dwarf race in Traveler.
Yes, in so much as yes, dwarves do get ported over, but the article's mostly every monster from D&D getting ported over.
Yeah.
So they're swept up. The dwarves are swept up, not highlighted.
Exactly.
He liked the name Dwarves in Space.
Yeah, it's still a very cool article. I just don't know Traveler that well.
What year is this? 83?
I even said, just thank God Game World was easier to cross-platform than Traveler is.
Wow, different companies. So.
Yeah. And Traveler is so crunchy numbered to begin with.
So yeah, it probably was a play on Pigs in Space from Muppet Show, because that came out in the 70s. So.
Yeah.
Then I would have added like 4 or 5 A's in that. Dwarves in space.
It's true.
Yeah, so he wanted. So I mean, the gist is that, he loves Traveler and he likes D&D, and he wanted to be able to bring some of his Traveler characters,
squish them
D&D.
together. Yeah.
Like they land on a planet. Oh, this D&D world is still playing with swords. Blah blah blah.
Once again, we get Spelljammer eventually, much
Yes.
to everyone's chagrin, but. Same idea.
I mean, unless you know Traveler very well,
Yeah,
I mean, this article is hard to.
I've definitely never played Traveler.
I shouldn't say it's hard to swallow, but
it's a lot of in-depth stuff where you're like, I don't know what this means.
Yeah, when you get to the part where you start really trying to cross things over, then you're like, yeah, I don't know what all these different things mean.
Yeah, I know Spelljammer got a bad rap because it was in amongst Dark Sun. There was a whole bunch of expansions at the time, and
yeah, Dark Sun, Spelljammer.
We'll get there. We'll get there, boys.
But yeah, if you were fluent in both systems and you wanted to do something interesting.
Oh yeah, I think right from the beginning we saw people trying to. Well, one of the original modules had Game of World stuff in it, so The idea of mixing and matching universes is deep embedded in D&D, so it makes sense that you try to get Traveler involved. Even though I think Traveler is a very different system from D&D, so I think that's what makes it a lot harder.
Yeah.
Or Game of World's similar.
Well, and Traveler has always been just a crunchier numbers RPG than D&D ever was. So
there you go.
But that was my article. It is very intriguing, and again, all I said is thank God Game World was easier to cross-platform than Traveler was. All right, Jack, are you tapped out?
For articles, yes.
All right, I have one more left.
And Rob, we don't care if you've got
I already
one.
said I was tapped out. So
He said he was
care.
tapped. So we're gonna go to page
care, you don't
62.
What was that? I was too busy talking over being
yapping
62.
He was sniping me.
So this is the game within the game. This is actually putting chess into your D&D game, and let your player characters play chess against each other. It comes with a little bit of charts and everything, how you can do, how you want to, what strategy you choose, what strategy you're going to play, you choose what dimension you're going to play, and then you kind of cross table and you see your percentage, whether or not your move works or not. The only reason why I even thought about this is because we thought we dabbled in this because still in the early 80s, chess was still the prevalent strategy game back in the 80s. You know, you had your chess clubs in your schools. You didn't have D&D clubs at this point yet. They're just starting to pop up, but chess clubs turned into D&D clubs.
Yep.
And so we just thought it was a nice little way to have chess in your RPG. And it even there's a whole 3 or 4 paragraphs of how to handle cheating. Like you could cheat while you're playing chess against your 2-player characters. So
I think the gist of it was you could, in game, your character would be playing chess rather than you playing
your
chess.
character's intelligence would be very different from your own, probably. So
yes,
and depending on your backstory, what exposure you had to the game or whatever, it's I don't know. It was the solution to a problem that I never had, but must have popped up at some point.
Well, it is like 10 pages, so I don't know if anybody had this. No, it's only like 5 pages, but still.
Yeah,
it's a very in-depth article.
We dabbled with it mainly because some of the guys I played with were the chess club guys. And they're like, hey, well, let's try this thing out. Maybe we could play a game of chess, blah, blah, blah. Like, all right, yeah, why not? You know?
Well, there you go.
Makes sense to me. So, all right. So that's it for my little articles. Jack, you have an ads?
I do have an ads. Well, let's see. I'm glad you called on me first because I would like us to go to page 28.
Yeah, that bastard. He snipes me every time. Asshole.
Some more Grenadier models. And,
well,
all right.
It's because it's called Cthulhu models. That's why he did it.
Oh, I didn't notice that the Call of Duty models are in the middle there.
I'm surprised. We've been doing this show for quite a while, and Rob's never brought up anything about Call of Cthulhu, and I thought it was one of his favorites. But I guess that I've got big shoulders. I can do the heavy lifting on all the Call of Cthulhu things. So yes, this is Grenadier gets in bed with the.
Are you sure it's the Cthulhu that you're really referencing? Because it does mention the Dark Crystal right here.
It does. It does. It does Star Trek, Worlds of Wonder, but yes.
It even tells you how to pronounce Cthulhu. Cthulhu.
Which is what I put in my notes. Cthulhu.
No, there's it's Cthulhu.
But yeah.
It's actually Cthulhu.
So you know things are getting good when
Grenadier's making miniatures for it.
Grenadier's making miniatures for it. There's a need for, and obviously the supply and demand, and Call of Cthulhu, we all know in hindsight what happens with it. It becomes Juggernaut.
They don't mention it here. Somewhere it mentions it, but it's the Call of Cthulhu won the Game of the Year in 1982. They never mentioned the TSR magazine, but Call of Cthulhu was like an award-winning game right off the bat. So it was very popular right off the bat, even though it gets hardly any coverage in Dragon magazines. 25 millimeter though. It's funny how scales have keep creeping up. Like 28 when we were kids, probably 28 was a scale. Now it's at least 32, if not bigger. So
yeah, 30. Yeah, oh yes, for sure, for sure.
It's just creep. The scale creep just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yep.
But I do think I need to look up, see what the miniatures Grenadier made for Dark Crystal.
Yeah, I can imagine how expensive those would be, because that's Dark Crystal fans are hardcore. So
yeah,
I'm sure that would be crazy. I'm also sure they wouldn't look that good.
No, not at 25 millimeter.
They wouldn't have the detail we're used to now.
That's true.
Yes, which explains the creep of size, because the bigger you get, the more detail you can cram onto the things, and then once painting becomes the art that
hobby
it is now, yes, popularized rather than I'm functionally painting this to use. When people start enjoying as a hobby,
or a hobby amongst itself, let alone playing the games. A lot of people just paint miniatures; they don't even play the games.
That's true. All right, Rob, you have a article?
Yeah, it's on page 28. What a jerk!
Ring a bell.
Is that the only ad you got?
Yes.
It's the only ad that mattered.
Well, then I will take my ad, and we'll go to page 76, and we're going to go to the RPGA Network Bulletin.
Oh.
And we're going to look at the free modules that the RPGA put out for their competitions. And I will also note that I had all three of these modules. And then when I went away to college, I said, I'll never need these again. And I tossed them.
Yeah, there's many things that I got rid of that I'm like, why did I get rid of that? Oh, my Dragon magazines, frankly. I had a bunch of them. I just tossed them.
Just
Me
like
too.
In my head, just like, I'm never going to... We played these forever. I'm going away for college.
Yeah, the idea of collecting things,
we're not gonna play them again.
Even though I collected comic books,
I'll never need these.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Trash.
The second one, R2, Investigation of Heidel, Happy Slaves, a business that sells happy slaves. You're requested to investigate this complex and shut it down if possible. So. Don't want happy slaves. We want angry slaves.
We want angry slaves. No, they were charmed.
I would guess. If I had to make a guess, I would have guessed they were charmed. Going into that adventure, I'd be like, these slaves are charmed, aren't they?
But, the thing is, I think when I left to go to college, I knew RPGA was kind of big, but I didn't know it was going to be hugely, immensely. I mean, it just went away just recently. And became that Heroes Network or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that was in the 2000s or something.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much when Wizards of the Coast took over, RPGA Network went away.
Yeah, no, but they were still there because I remember playing in a couple of RPGA. Yeah. Because I had to renew my RPGA number to play in the tournament, a 4th edition tournament. So.
Yeah, so it was all the way to 4th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So because that was my only game of 4th edition I played. I was thinking, this feels like a board game to me.
Did you move your miniatures and click your clicks?
I did, but I moved my miniatures and I popped my spells and used my feats and blah blah blah.
Feats are still all over the place.
Yeah. But that's it for my ads and your ads. So I guess we are towards the end of this episode.
Back to the amazing cover.
70. Yes, our good friend Caldwell. He's still around. He's still got a robust website. If you are interested in buying a Caldwell, he's not even there. That's the wrong episode.
This is Dean Morrissey.
Dean Morrissey. I don't know if he's got a robust website.
We don't know if he's still alive. We assume he's dead.
Yes, we always assume he's dead until someone tells us they're not.
I've heard he's very cantankerous, and whenever he goes on tour, he just talks about being a vegan and
He doesn't want green M&Ms in his dressing room.
And he
that's
tries to always be a little bit too pro England. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Oh, sorry, that's Morrissey.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Dean Morrissey just died March 4th, 2021. So rest in peace, Mr. Morrissey.
Oh, R.I.P.
Only about a year ago, almost. Or no, 2 years ago. Jesus, 2023 now. Jesus. Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
So it's
all right. So I guess we'll wrap it up. So for the Dragon's Tomb, I've been your host, Chopper. Jack is going to tell you what you should be doing.
You set him up to be saying bad stuff.
I did. I was going to see where he's going to go.
You need to click the bell and ring the likes, and you need to comment in the basement below.
Yes, good job.
Touch our basement areas.
I saw Rob took it over.
Jack said it.
What's
I just paraphrased.
It's true. All right, guys. So again, with Dragon's Tomb, I've been your host, Chopper.
I'm Jack.
I have been Rob.
And we will see you next week. As Rob is being a ghost.
I've been Rob. See, I'm no longer Rob. I'm a ghost. See, half my head's disappearing. Right there. Look.